Hi, and welcome to another episode of Pennsylvania Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco with the Philadelphia Bar Association Chancellor's Forum District Attorney's Race. Today we have the profile of Jack O'Neill. His website is seen below where you can find more information about him. Jack O'Neill went to work for the Philadelphia District Attorney under Lynne Abraham, where he prosecuted rape cases and specialized in representing survivors of domestic abuse. 1 year after being a DA, he began prosecuting child sex abuse cases and working in the Special Victims Unit for the next 5 years. He represented thousands of survivors of domestic abuse and sexual assault. In his work with SVU, he became one of the lead prosecutors in the DA's office, successfully prosecuting many of Philadelphia's high-profile cases. He was promoted to the office of the elite Homicide Unit, and for the next 3 years, he investigated and successfully prosecuted murder cases, most prominently the killing of innocent children by warring gangs. In February 2016, Jack resigned as a DA and went into private practice representing individuals in both civil and criminal cases. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Mr. O'Neill.
When there is a specific reason that involves a danger to the community given, information will be shared and not any other time. The DA's office is not going to become part of the Trump administration's xenophobic, racist agenda. It's not going to make itself less effective and this city more dangerous by making victims and witnesses afraid to come forward because they're afraid that then their immigration status will be shared and they'll be essentially punished for doing the right thing. The DA's office, its job is local. Its job is to make this city safer and make sure that it's more just for everyone. And to do that, it needs to resist pressures from the Trump administration to be The use of resources to defend cases where someone received a death penalty is often and almost always a waste of resources. The appellate unit in the district attorney's office is fantastic. There are brilliant lawyers there, but they're understaffed, and frankly, they probably always will be. And so to use a lot of resources and a lot of money and a lot of their time to go up to Harrisburg, to argue in front of the Supreme Court, to defend death penalties that are frankly never going to happen is a sorry waste of those people's brilliant minds and their very valuable time. When it comes to the Conviction Review Board, it was a great idea that was very poorly executed. Conviction Review Board should be a number of attorneys. Now, when you hear all of us talk, we keep hearing about programs, and you probably keep wondering how is it possible that they'll have attorneys for all these programs. But the Conviction Review Board can be staffed by very experienced trial attorneys who need a break from the rigors of trying cases. And so it's a very doable thing, and it's a thing where that has to be done. And the outlook of the Conviction Review Board needs to be more than just, did we get this wrong, was this person innocent? It needs to go further to see, did we get this wrong, did this person get a fair trial? And even past that, and this is probably the most important thing, are we now at a place where this person should be released from jail regardless of what happened 20 years ago? There are people sitting in state prison for things that they did as children or as very young, very immature adults, and they've been there for 25 years without any even possibility of parole. That doesn't make any sense.
Mr. O'Neill.
The first safety net that should be implemented is that we should need a conviction before a property is taken so that people aren't losing their property based on lowered standards, especially when it's being done with criminal convictions that are supposed to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The second thing that needs to be done is the people who have their property taken need to get court-appointed lawyers if they can't afford them themselves. They're getting bullied and, quite frankly, outmatched in the courtroom every single time, and it doesn't make sense to do that if we think we have a strong enough case to win if there is a trained attorney on the other side. The third thing, this is the biggest thing, is discretion. It needs to be recognized that usually resources of a parent or another person, a friend, who's taking care of a person who's a drug dealer are better used to help that person beat their own drug addiction, get their life back on track than they are taken away. In other words, if a person lives with their parents and they're dealing drugs while they live in the basement, and you take the parents home, all you've done is negatively affect that young person's ability to get themselves back on the right track. The last thing is, and this is very important, because a lot of people have talked about diverting the resources to other means so that the incentive isn't bad. It's a great idea. What are we going to do about all the money that the DA's office no longer has? I can tell you I've sat down with a number of people from City Council, and they have said that listening to the programs that many of us have promoted, they see that there are going to be cost-saving elements in, for example, the decrease in mass incarceration. And that if they see that, they're willing to meet the DA's office halfway and come back with funding that the DA's office will sorely need.
Mr. O'Neill.
Small amount of marijuana program is a great step, but at this point it is a waste of resources. A person who's using a small amount of marijuana for their personal use is not affecting the quality of other people's life in most circumstances, and so there's no real point in prosecuting them under any circumstances, even now where they just basically are given community service. If they're affecting other people's quality of life, if they're smoking right outside someone's window or something like that, then yes, that may be a different scenario, but that's a different charge. Are there other drugs that I would treat that way? No, there are not. But are there other small-level crimes? Absolutely. And primarily what I would be looking at is where the DA's office has participated in trying to quell protests. Arresting and charging a bunch of people who are exercising their First Amendment right, and then taking them to court, forcing them to pay for lawyers in order to charge them with summary offenses like disorderly conduct, is not only against the best interest of the city, it's also wrong.
Okay. Mr. O'Neill.
Something that I'm still examining, but I'll say that one position that provides a great first assistant is a very senior judge. A very senior judge, although they haven't been prosecuting recently, has the ability to reach out to the entire community, has shown the entire community that they have the ability to be fair and to call things as they see them. So there are judges like Leon Tucker or Judge Meinhardt who are excellent, have great reputations with the defense bar, great reputations with the prosecutors, great reputations with City Hall, and would make fantastic first assistants.
Mr. O'Neill.
As I stated before, I think that where you have judges who have earned themselves a great reputation for their discretion and their trust matters with the defense bar, with the prosecutors, that's how our system is supposed to work, and that's how it works its best, when you give the discretion to judges. There's one area where I do think mandatory minimums can be very important, and that's sexual assaults of children. I think that oftentimes you have cases where the defendant in those cases uses the system to continue to re-victimize the child. And I think in those circumstances, it's important that the mandatory minimums be applied.
Mr. O'Neill.
Can't cover my whole policy on how we represent victims better in 60 seconds, so I'm going to focus on something that hasn't been talked about a lot yet in this campaign and needs to be, which is domestic violence. Spent most of my 10 years as a prosecutor working with victims of domestic violence. And one of the things that the city needs to understand is that 80% of the victims of domestic violence in our city get intimidated before they get to their first hearing, preliminary hearing. And somewhere between 2 and 3 victims of domestic violence end up being murdered once a month in our city. In other words, we're losing approximately 30 people, usually mothers, and almost 100% of them had contact with the system before they were killed, and usually had contact with the system in relation to the person who ends up killing them. So what would we do there? We would have a specially assigned prosecutor assigned to that survivor of domestic violence from the first time they're contacted, and every single time afterward where they're contacted by the system, and we would make sure that that person is with them from day one all the way up until trial, and the hearings need to happen right away.
Mr. O'Neill.
The question started specifically with drug-related investigations. That's a great area to start because that's an area where a lot of abuse has occurred. One of the best solutions is technology. One of the things that people will find if officers start, rather than prosecuting cases the same way they were done in the 1920s, where you have an officer who says what he saw, is since everybody in this room has a video camera on them right now on their phone, videotape what's going on and then play the video. And what people will find, there's a lot of assistant district attorneys in the room right now who can vouch for you, is that these things actually happen. If you've never lived in an area or been in an area with an open-air drug market, you'll see that in many cases, people are unbelievably brazen. They're selling heroin to passers-by without even trying to hide it. So that's going to make those investigations very good. And the dirty investigations are going to be obvious too. But One thing I'll say on a broader scale as to integrity is when I was in domestic violence unit, I was tasked with prosecuting a police officer for domestic violence. When I was in the special victims unit, I was tasked with prosecuting a police officer for sexual assault. When I was in the homicide unit, I was detailed to the special investigations unit to prosecute a homicide detective for covering up a murder because I've always had the integrity to do the right
That's
thing
your time,
regardless
Mr.
of the politics.
O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill.
Experience is the most important thing when it comes to fixing a system. I have more experience than any other Democratic candidate up here. I spent 10 years as an assistant district attorney, and it was the most recent experience as well. I spent the last 10 years as an assistant district attorney, and that's why I know how the DA's office works, the criminal justice system works. I know what needs to be changed and improved upon. And when you make those changes, you need to understand things in their smallest and most important details. And with all due respect, coming to the table and flipping over the table is not an actionable plan. There are assistant district attorneys in this room right now who go to court every single day, despite what Seth's done, despite what they may like or dislike about the office, and they save people and they keep them safe. That's what the office is about. Being an assistant district attorney is about putting your life and your career in one single focus, and that focus is to make this city better and to keep its people safer. That's what I did for the last 10 years. That's what I know how to do, and that's what will make me the best district attorney. My name is Jack O'Neill, and I ask for your vote for district attorney.